and today we are going to be customizing another model horse. I will also be showing you how I use my airbrush. Please take note that this is not a full-on craft tutorial, but I do hope you get some tips and tricks from it. So here is all the craft supplies that I will be using. Sorry if I forget any of the craft supplies, but I promise it will pop up during the video. See you all there. So the obvious first thing that I am using is my airbrush. As you can see, the airbrush logo name, I really can't pronounce it, so I'm just not going to say it, but I love this airbrush. This airbrush is amazing. You can use acrylic paint, oil paint, or any paint you want. You can even use makeup in this thing. This thing is awesome. It is an all-around airbrush. It is awesome. I love it. If you can get it, totally get it. It's amazing. Another thing, I'll be having a clean bowl of water and an empty bowl for dumping out my dirty paint. Dirty paint water. Another thing is I have little medicine cups that I use to stir up the paint so I do not damage my airbrush, because I don't want to stir it in the little thing on the airbrush. So that's what the toothpicks are for, is to stir up the paint. The type of paint that I will be using will be apple barrel acrylic paint. Another thing I love to use is simply a cardboard box tipped on its side. This helps for accidental overspray, and it just kind of protects your model from dust that might collect on him or her. And as always, you will need the model you are painting. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my airbrush out and show you guys everything that I use for my airbrush. So this, once again, isn't a complete tutorial. This is kind of just what I do and how I do it. So I'm sure there are a ton of other opinions out there. So this is just simply how I do it. So let's get started. So my airbrush comes in this super nice, fancy, safe case for it. It has a little cap for the top of it here where you put the paint in, but I don't usually put it on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out. This is the little water droplet thing that you use to put up the water and get it in there, but I usually use the little medicine cups. So that's what I use to stir the paint, because I don't like to stir it in there because there's a little thing in there, and if you were to damage it accidentally, you could ruin your airbrush. So instead of stirring it in the little cup they have here, I use my own cups. And the next thing we have in here is simply the plug to plug it in. And we have the hose that connects to the airbrush and the little air thing. I'm super sorry, I don't exactly know what it's called, but it's right here, and it is the heaviest piece of equipment. So this thing has the air, so it stores up the air, pushes it through the hose and out your airbrush. So this way I don't have to continually buy the little air cans that some airbrushes need. So this is super cool and will last for a very long time. So you never need to re-buy little air cans. So that's what I love about this thing. Last but not least, somewhere in my box here, we have this little piece, and it simply goes in the hole here. So then I can set up my airbrush. This will be probably the last and final clip that you'll kind of see the full airbrush here, but this is kind of how it works. So I got my little airbrush holder, and then you got the little hose that goes all around. It's a very long hose. I actually really like the texture of it. It's very soft, actually. It's a very soft little hose. Have a little button to simply turn it on and off, as well as your plug end here, and simply just plugs in the back or the side here. It's super awesome, and I love my airbrush. It is super easy and does very fine detailing, so I'm super excited to show this to you guys. So let's finally get painting the model. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk about these little cups real quick, and the real reason, or the kind of the most important reason why I use these. I like to put in a few drops of water and a few drops of paint, and you're going to have to experiment it with yourself for how the consistency of the paint in the airbrush and all that. You're going to have to do that yourself. I can't exactly tell you everything, but the reason why I truly like to use the cups is sometimes there can be little tiny flakes of hard paint, and if you stir it up in the cups, you can pull it out versus it getting stuck in your airbrush. Trust me, it is a major pain if you get the tiniest piece of paint stuck in your airbrush. You have to like take the entire thing apart. It is pain. So stirring it up in the little cups saves you that pain. Trust me. So that is the real reason why, or the most important reason why I like to use these little cups. Now we're finally going to paint this pretty boy. Coat 1 is done and he is looking amazing. Next, I'm going to go out and get jet black and we're just going to solidly do jet black. He is looking so cool. I'm going to have to let him dry and then we'll come back and do coat 2. Okay everyone, I'm super sorry the video paused. I had a memory issue, so it just froze and then I kept going. But the next step will be to let him dry. I'm going to saran wrap the bottom half of his legs as well as his head, because he is going to be a blue roan. So then I'm going to do his roaning with the airbrush. Now I've never done a roan, so I guess we'll find out how he'll look. So first let's let him dry and then we'll come back to him. See you all in just a sec. Okay, I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but he looks amazing. I haven't unwrapped his head or legs yet, but he looks so cool. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put away all my paint stuff, put away my airbrush while I let him dry. So then we'll be back to do his mane, tail, and any other extra details I want to do to him. Be right back. Okay, and this is what this pretty boy is looking like now. He is so gorgeous. He looks really good as a roan. I think I did really good. Now I'm going to go ahead, paint his mane, his tail, and give him those extra details such as painting his hooves, getting his eyes done, painting his muzzle, and all of that. So I'll see you all when he's completely done. See you in just 1 second. Okay, and he is officially done. I still don't know how well you guys can see his roaning. When I put on the paint sealer, I think it kind of faded away a little, but as you can kind of see down his leg, you can see it like he's a little lighter here than on his legs as well as his head. But I think he turned out so pretty. He is my first roan that I've ever done, so try not to judge too harshly. But I still think he turned out super, super beautiful. And of course I've come up with a name for him, and that is Trusty. I just think like this little boy, or he is just kind of an old boy. He's seen a lot of stuff in his days and he's just kind of a trusty old horse. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and see you all next week. Bye! Okay everyone, he is officially done. Now, what I decided to do was make his roaning a little lighter. All I did is I pretty much went back and airbrushed him again. So this time, instead of using white, I did a mixture of white with the tiniest touch of black, so it's a light gray. And I did it several more times versus like one thin coat. I did like 5 coats of it. And I still saran wrapped his head and his legs. And I think he looks way more pretty now. He still is a pretty boy, and I think he is still stunning. And I think you can see his roaning so much more. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and see you all next week. Bye!